Where do you think WordPress is going in 3 to 5 years? Your perspective. Everybody has their own perspective.
Okay. So in my perspective, and that's one thing or one thing which I look forward to for since WordPress 5.5.
Hmm.
I hope that WordPress itself keeps like the traction on doing the updates for blog and site editor, and
Hmm.
everyone in the WordPress ecosystem understands that now for the first time ever in WordPress, we have the chance to build a global standard.
Welcome to WP Legends. I am Gautam, the co-founder of Seahawk Media, and today I'm joined by Thomas Koschwitz, co-founder and co-creative at Grade, and the visionary mind behind Grade Suite, one of the most innovative all-in-one solutions for building and scaling WordPress websites. Starting as an agency owner in Munich, Thomas teamed up with his co-founder Mark in 2017 to build a better way to create and manage WordPress websites, one that didn't rely on clunky page builders or disjointed plugin stacks. Launched in 2019, Grade Suite offers agencies and enterprises a unified suite for global content, dynamic templates, forms, pop ups, accessibility, advanced search, and more, all built around the WordPress full site editing ecosystem. Thomas's team doesn't just write code, they're pushing boundaries for no code experiences, R&D, accessible design, even securing government funding from Germany for AI innovation. Great Suite has become a backbone for effortlessly managing multiple sites, offering tools like Grade Hub, Global Content, Site Connector to streamline your internal processes. Thomas is also a very familiar face at WordCamps and active in great conversations, their podcast series discussing agency scale ups, modular architecture, and future tech. Thomas, welcome to my show. To kick things off, tell us what made you say we need Great Suite?
Okay. First of all, thank you for having me. That's the over and for the nice introduction. So what was actually the idea behind Grade and why we wanted to develop the system or we needed that system,
Mhm.
and obviously as well what's the reason behind why we thought, okay, that might be a product everyone could use. So let me go back in history a little bit.
Yes, please.
Now it might be my 17th year in WordPress or doing websites basically from a designer's perspective. So
Wow.
I studied communications design back then in a university in Germany, and I always wanted to go more into the development part.
Mhm.
But my professor back then told me, okay, Thomas, to be honest, you're so shitty in math, but you can draw nice things. Go to the designers. You never will end up being a developer. And I thought, okay, yeah, thank you for nothing. Basically, I will do it myself now. So I ended up studying design. So I ended up like a standard web designer back in the day. So a person who basically used Photoshop and other design tools to create a screen design.
Mhm.
And over time, I learned basically the technology behind the entire structure of building websites, because if I done the design wrong, all my developers are constantly looking at me like this. So he has done
Mhm.
another fancy design, and now I have to work on the weekend. So kind of like that. So I learned basically with a lot of pain how to design a website properly, so to say. And then I ventured more into the WordPress ecosystem, and that was at a time where like the first page builders were around, like WP Bakery, all sorts of that stuff. So I was finally in a position to actually not only do the design in Photoshop, I could build them in WordPress especially. And the thing is, uh, all page builders and all WordPress plugins basically had the same idea. You can combine them and you build awesome stuff.
Of course.
But the more professional you get over time, the more you notice, okay, if I combine tons of plugins all the time, I run into issues. I run into
Yes,
issues
we
from
started with Theme Forest. I remember my first chance was with Theme Forest, downloading themes, adding 20, 30, 40 plugins. But
yeah,
that was me all alone, and
yeah,
nobody else to help me. So I
yeah,
hear you. I hear
exactly.
you. Yeah, yeah.
Exactly. So yeah, so all of a sudden you run into some issues. And
Hmm.
at start, you're always like, yeah, you're pushing out a project and then you start fixing the problems which came along over time and over time. And that's a tedious job at the end of the day. And I always wanted to grow my customers and grow with my customers. So just don't always do support of an actual website you did. You want to like give them, okay, we could do with your website, we could do this, we could change this. So yeah, let's advance this project together. So yeah, basically we had to come up with an idea, and that was actually a yeah couple of months after I teamed up with Mark, with my business partner, and Mark is like more the strategic part in Great, and he has come from a marketing background. He's done like a lot
This is
of
2017, 18, would you say? This is before,
uh,
or
yeah,
even
like
earlier?
18, a little bit
18.
earlier actually
Okay.
already. And he has done like a couple of marketing campaigns because he invented basically the format that you could rent solar
Hmm.
panels for your roof in Germany, not buy them, you rent them.
Printed. Okay.
Exactly. And so he has done a lot of TV campaigns with landing pages. So TV campaigns normally are measured live. So you have to update your landing page if you see that numbers are going down. And with the old process of building websites, this would always include some kind of development, some kind of changing in the page builder, all sorts of that stuff. And you can't run into problems while you're having a campaign up and running in the TV because you probably at sometimes you have 15 minutes to fix a problem, and that can be troublesome. So
Of course. Yeah.
and so like we were tired of all like the rinse and repeat process of classically building a page with different plugins. So we ended up with, okay, let's think what we actually need from a business perspective. We need a robust tech stack which allows us to easily change contents, to easily change design, to not always look into, okay, I need a plugin for this and that. We need basically everything. So we started that project along with a big enterprise project which we had back then. And so everything tied together. So we came up actually with the idea of a robust tech stack for
So
ourselves.
that was a, so let me understand. One of your first big enterprise customer
Yeah,
kind of like inspired you.
exactly. Exactly. Yeah, I can tell a little bit about that story as well. So because they had like 40 people in their marketing department, and these were as well as I was back then, classical designers with a
Mm-hmm.
print background. So we all know print is basically dead. So you don't do like catalogs and stuff anymore in this case. So they wanted to have as well a robust solution where these designers with no technical understanding basically are empowered to build landing pages. And they wanted to have control as well about corporate design over potentially hundreds of projects. So we needed to come up
And
with
that
a
time you
with
were
an
working on
idea.
PSD because Figma was just starting to get popularity. Correct me if I'm wrong, though.
Exactly. That was still the time
Adobe
like
Photoshop, I think, and XD,
Photoshop,
XD.
Photoshop and XD. Yeah. So we all started basically with XD and then Figma came along. So they barely had an understanding how to build a screen design even. So we needed to come up with a solution which is like similar to the tool they're currently using, whilst it's not so complicated when they put it into a WordPress ecosystem. Yeah. So and that was basically the idea where we started with the production of what's called the Great Suite. We used it a couple of years for ourselves in the agency, and then we saw the numbers actually. So we reduced the amount of time we need for a project to like 50 to 75%. Maintenance is going down because we actually had one robust tech stack. We knew where we had to look in all the time. And then we thought, okay, and this was actually still back then with a page builder in the backend because the block editor wasn't there
Yeah,
yet.
yeah, 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 yeah. You mentioned
Yeah,
about that a lot in your conversations and a lot of other places also.
yeah,
Yes, correct.
yeah, exactly. And then so we had a system which was nice. It was running. It was okay, but we had always one thing. We wanted to get the greens in like Google PageSpeed Insights and so on. And we had
Hmm.
quite significant PageSpeed improvements already back then, like 85 upwards. But it always was like somewhere around the 90s. But we wanted proper 90s
I
at the
see.
end.
I see.
Yeah.
That's pretty
So
cool. That's pretty cool. Yeah,
yeah,
speed is very, very important now for every website on this
exactly.
planet. Very important.
Exactly.
Speed, security,
And
accessibility. I'm sure we'll talk about that in a few as well.
yeah, yeah, definitely. So yeah, and then there was this there was this thing called the block editor out of the sudden, for us at least. And everyone thought, okay, what's that? We don't want to use that. That's like sluggish and it doesn't work and features are missing. But we always wanted to get rid of the last third-party thing in our software. So we did talk about, okay, shall we develop a page builder like everyone else does? Or let's do things properly. Let's look what WordPress is doing actually. And
Mm.
we always had that dream that we could come closer to the core to get as close as possible
Yes,
to have secure updating situations all the time, that we can leverage all the updates WordPress is getting in each and every update in our system as well. So we had a look into the block editor. And actually, it was a tough time because the block editor was barely in its beginnings. A lot of
true.
stuff didn't work, but yeah, we thought, okay, let's do this. And if it takes 1.5 years, it will take 1.5 years. But we want to be close to the core. So we started like transforming all of the concepts we already had functional and functioning in our actual version into the block editor.
I
And
see. I see.
after the WordPress update where the lock feature was published, all of a sudden everything made sense and everything was possible. And then we started like putting this out to customers actually, because then we knew, okay, so now it's close to the core. We don't have any
Almost ready for the world to know. Almost like
almost,
nearly there.
almost.
99% there. Yes.
99%. The
Oh man.
last 1% actually came when WordPress 6.0 came out, full site
Oh,
edit.
okay.
That was for us the big game changer because before we had the situation that we were theme dependent. So
Yeah.
you had to use the great theme in combination with the plugin to function properly because we had features which are now in full site editing already back then in the customizer. But now with the change in the WordPress structure, we or we like loosen up the theme dependencies so you can basically use the great plugin solely alone with like Ollie, GreenShift, Blocksy, whatever theme you want. If it's a classic theme, if it's a FSE theme
So how
or
often are you pushing updates? Like, if I may ask nowadays, how often do you push updates? Are you
uh
innovating? I can see the updates.
yeah, yeah.
And
So normal
we are experiencing grade, internally, a lot as well. How often do you
yeah.
push updates?
Yeah, normally we do at least 1 to 2 minor small updates per month. So every 2 weeks, basically, we do a new version with bug fixes, little improvements. Then every 2 to 3 months, we do bigger updates with new features, new stuff, and then there are two major
How do
updates.
you, so you're collecting user feedback, I'm sure, somehow, and working
Yeah.
using that with the roadmap, like prioritization, or is it like,
Um,
or are you, researching, looking at your competitors? Obviously, we have to stay ahead versus our
yeah,
competitors.
yeah.
What is your,
So
how do you do that?
actually, what we are doing is, first of all, we still do like big enterprise projects
Okay.
and lighthouse projects, and we
Okay.
always think about, okay, so might this be a feature which would actually make sense to put into the product? Because that's our main goal all the time, to improve the overall like quality of the product. And then what we do as well is we have a very, very close connection to our customers.
I
So
see.
they are allowed to send us feature requests, so they can do this over our ticket system. And every 2 weeks, we sit together and look over these feature requests, and then we talk, and then we'll count, okay, so that's a feature like 10 or 15 people constantly wants to or want to have. And then we think, okay, let's look at the roadmap when it makes sense, and then we'll put out or put in like this project or this feature. So, for example, the animations we made possible in the blogs.
Mhm.
That's one of the feature requests of one of our clients actually, because we
Yeah,
want to
animations is big.
const
Animations is very big because with Framer, Dora, other technologies coming up, Lovable, there's so many
yeah,
things happening beyond the realm of the WordPress ecosystem. There's so many things happening. So how do you stay up to date? How do you keep on evolving? And with AI, I don't know, how do we keep up with AI, which is another situation. Every day there's
yeah,
some new AI. DeepSeek is coming up with something. ChatGPT is
yeah,
releasing videos. So everybody wants to keep on evolving, and so we need to keep up.
exactly,
So I think that's one
exactly.
of the reasons, one of the biggest reasons people want animations now. That's a good point to
Yeah.
discuss. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, animations for me, as I studied design, was always a thing. And
Yeah.
I guess, one of the few people who actually used every tool available in the Adobe Creative Suite. So I have a thing for After Effects, all sorts of that stuff. So I always was in some kind of animation. I don't know if you know Lottie, the Lottie library.
No, I'm not
Lottie
very familiar, but
animation.
I'm sure somebody in my team would be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Lottie Animations basically it was a project from the guys behind Airbnb.
Oh, wow. Okay. Now I have to look
They
into
came
it.
up with an animation library for their website, and they released it out to the public so everyone could
Wow.
use it. And it was a plugin for After Effects where you could do like canvas animation for the web inside of After Effects, which was a game changer for me because, as I already told you, I'm not a developer, but I need some kind of graphical interface to build an animation, and the
I
best
see.
thing you could use is After Effects.
I
And
see.
then I made sure that this library is available in our system. So
That's pretty cool. We need to look into this. That's
yeah,
pretty cool.
yeah.
And what about your site connector feature? Like, if you could, I'm curious to know, like, which is like the largest, 50 sites, 20 sites, 200 sites, as somebody connected. What would you?
Actually, it's currently like 850 sites, give or take.
Oh, one client connected.
Yeah, one
Oh wow, that's
project.
pretty cool. That's
Yeah,
pretty cool. So that
yeah,
that would need like very robust hosting. Whenever I have somebody on WP Legends, I always bring up hosting a lot also because and get insights, But so for somebody like that, they would need like dedicated servers or something like that.
exactly. You need dedicated server. And when we're talking about like 850 sites, there you have to look, okay, so how many sites are production sites, how many sites are
Oh yeah.
test staging, and so on. And then you use like, okay, you have more than one machine, and
Hmm.
you have more than one WordPress multi-site, or even you use just single sites with each other, connecting them. So for that particular project I'm talking about, so it's for example, we always use one multi-site
Hmm.
with 50 websites inside, and then we open up a new cluster, and these multi-sites are tied and connected together. So we build like the first layer of a network. Then we have multi-sites for testing, staging environment.
I see. Yeah, so
Yeah,
that cluster the staging cluster is away from the other cluster, and that's how you
exactly,
effectively use your site connector feature, basically, which is
exactly,
very unique.
exactly.
That's what your
Yeah,
uniqueness is, grades uniqueness is versus the
yeah,
other.
yeah,
So page builders, you're not in theory like a page builder. You're way beyond
yeah,
than that. And I would
yeah.
also want to bring up accessibility, considering especially people all over the world now want accessibility websites and they have to download WordPress plugins, pay a separate fee. And I believe if somebody has a great subscription, they don't need to pay anything at all for
Yeah.
accessibility.
So the thing is, we make sure that our system basically gives you the potential to build double A by standard inside the suite. So we make sure that from a technical standpoint, everything is reader accessible. You can navigate properly with with your keyboard through everything, even forms as well. And actually, we started the journey for accessibility almost like 1.5, 2 years ago, where I met Annemieke Bovelet. She back then asked me, so is your suite accessible already? And I said to her, I don't know surely, but I want that it is accessible already.
It's
Do you want to help us?
99%, let me be 100%. Something like
Exactly. Exactly.
that.
Come in our team, help us. Let's do this. Because I had quite some talks with her, and the thing with accessibility now, especially in Europe, everyone is forced by law. But that's actually a sad thing because there are more reasons behind accessibility and having accessible ready websites. And the first thing is myself, I wear glasses. And the later it gets over the day and I start reading websites, I have trouble seeing contrasts, all sorts of that stuff because my eyes are tired. That's one thing.
I've never realized that. I've never realized that. Yes,
And
right.
the next thing is that 1% of the male people on the world have color blindness in some sorts.
Oh, wow.
Next thing.
Okay.
Yeah. And imagine like when you for example browse through the internet and you have a big form to fill out. What you use your keyboard.
Yes, we do.
Don't
Yes, correct.
click. You just use your keyboard. And
Correct.
all of that ties into accessibility actually. So it's not only for the people who definitely need because of assistive technologies, it's as well for everyone else because of like it's easier to use
Makes it
to
makes it
browse a
it makes
website.
things better. It makes the browsing experience better. I know there
Exactly.
are laws in the US and there are
Yeah.
different laws for different states. Like California has a very
Yeah.
strict law for ADA compliance or HIPAA compliances. And
Yeah.
so the EU now has a law for accessibility. I would love our listeners to know because even I don't know about this law.
Yeah.
That would be good to know. So what is it? Is it
Yeah.
like need to have? Is it like that for all over EU Schengen areas, if you know, maybe?
Basically, in the EU, it's like it's tied to the size of the company
Okay.
on one hand, and
Okay.
it's tied to the revenue they do per year.
Ah,
But
okay.
yeah, but the thing is, it will be the same. And that's the good thing behind that. It will be the same with GDPR. Basically,
Ah,
people putting on like cookie consent
yes, of course.
splash screen, whether they're tracking or not, because everyone has it.
Perfect.
And I hope that accessibility in a couple of months over the next year, next 2 years, will have a standard so that it's a good tone to be accessible already. So that's a standard. You have to do it,
Yes,
whether
yes.
you're forced by law or not. Because on the other hand, um, you miss out on opportunity actually if you have a web shop.
True,
I mean,
true, true, true.
you miss out on target group at the end of the day. So accessibility, let's say it's more like a unified, proper user experience for front-end users.
That's
Don't
pretty
call
cool.
it accessibility. It's proper user experience for front-end users. Yeah.
That's true. That's true. Let's shift gear to your growth, and WordCamp journeys. When did you start exhibiting at WordCamps or visiting WordCamp? When was that?
I think the first WordCamp we did attend, it was in Vienna, and it was the year, whether it's the same year or the year before WordCamp EU in Porto. That was the
Okay.
first one. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
Got it. Because after COVID, it was closed for a year, and the three big ones are there. I think we met for the
exactly.
first time in Portland, right? Correct me if I'm wrong.
In
And
Port,
where did you exhibit? In Athens? In Athens, did you exhibit?
in essence, we definitely met. Yeah, I know
Yes.
this. We're like in this big, that was the big hall with the closed up area.
Yes, yes,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah,
Athens
yeah,
was one of my me and my co-founder Ryan's like our favorite
yeah,
WordCamp, Athens,
yeah.
because of the weather and everything else, etc. I think
The city
WordCamps
itself,
WordCamps are
all
so
this.
important.
Yeah.
I mentioned in my last I think recording, it was with Rolly or who, I don't remember, but I did mention like my first ever WordCamp was a smaller one in Boston. Okay, that
Yeah.
was 2019 also, by the way. And it was like a super tiny one, like 7, 8 booths. And all I can say is that we got our biggest ever contract because of that WordCamp.
Yeah.
Because when you meet people and you start to conversations, whether you work now, it took 2 years to close that contract. Okay, it's fine.
Yeah.
But all I know is that, you just initiate that connection and, and I know sooner than later, it just materializes into something. And I think that WordCamp community is doing a pretty good job
Yeah.
over there. Are you visiting WordCamp Portland this year by any chance?
Yeah.
Okay. And any other
Um,
events beyond WordCamp would you recommend? CloudFest, something else? I know CloudFest is in Germany, is in US. Anything else besides?
CloudFest, CloudFest is definitely a must as well, especially for like if you like in the WordPress ecosystem and you want to connect customers,
Mhm.
because they now started the WordPress zone
Mhm.
with, on the last CloudFest, and that's definitely a must. Then obviously PressConf,
Oh, yes, of course.
yeah,
Yes,
yeah,
yes, yes. That's pretty
and
cool.
yeah, and then definitely yeah, try to attend to as many WordCamps possible,
Yeah,
and especially the EU one, because the whole thing with the community, it's amazing.
yes,
It's
that's true.
it's utterly amazing. It's like for me, and now if you think Porto or WordCamp in Porto is like 3 years ago,
Yes,
give or
yes,
yeah.
yes, yes, yes,
So
yes.
yeah, so that was basically my first big WordCamp. And
Got it.
after that, every other WordCamp, every other situation where you meet people from the WordPress ecosystem, it's basically like coming home to friends.
Yes, that is true.
That's one thing which is unique to that community.
That is very
They're
true.
so welcoming. It's completely crazy. So for me, it's almost like vacation. And you know me, I have a
Same,
lot of meetings,
same.
constantly talking, hours and hours and hours, but it's
I
still
brought
like
my daughter,
vacation.
I brought my daughter, who's 15 months old, to this WordCamp for
Yeah,
an hour around lunchtime.
yeah,
And she got swag and, went to all the booths waving.
yeah,
She was like she's a celebrity, but she was getting so much attention there.
yeah.
So I know it was pretty cool. I see a lot of people bring their families and it's very well organized for sure. I must say that.
Yeah.
And now I wanted to ask you, how many people are in your team currently? And are they all working remotely?
A couple of them are working remotely all the time, but we try to achieve at least like so the core team, which is like near Munich, is like 1 or 2 days at least in the office,
Okay.
and we try to have at least like 1 or two months. We always have like a big meeting where everyone comes together.
Are they all in,
But
so are they all in Germany? All of them?
no, no. We
Okay.
have we have like Patrick, for example, one of our first developers actually, and he's my friend since kindergarten. So I
Wow.
actually grew up with him. He actually, when COVID started, he went to Portugal. He just asked me, "So, do you have a problem when I work in Portugal?" And I told him, "Pat, I know you since you like from kindergarten.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
if I can't trust you, who can I trust?" So yeah,
Go for it. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah,
That's pretty cool. And what are the SaaS tools which you use in your company? I know Slack is one of them,
yeah.
but what are the SaaS? What project management tools do you use? Like
Yeah.
ClickUp, Trello, what do you use?
Yeah. So we basically use Atlassian, so Jira a
Okay.
lot.
Okay. Of
So we use Adorem for customer projects and for
course.
internal projects because it speeds up the process amazingly.
Yes.
And then yeah, obviously like all the I don't know what the developers using their tool can decide. It's okay. But yeah, then Teams obviously because of the GDPR reasons in Europe. So we have to use Teams, and now it's tied into the process. But I look forward to if we could go more into Slack, for example,
Yes.
because then from a WordPress standpoint, you have like the WordPress community just one click away, which
That's
is
true.
nice.
Yes, and on that front, I have a fun question for you. And this is I always ask this question from everybody. Okay, where do you see WordPress going in 3 to 5 years? Not more than that. Okay, don't think beyond 2030. Okay, because think about this. Okay, AI, Wix, AI, Squarespace, AI, Framer. People are using Elementor AI doing something. What do you
Yeah.
think? Where do you think WordPress is going in 3 to 5 years? Your perspective. Everybody has their own perspective.
Okay. So in my perspective, and that's one thing or one thing which I look forward to for since WordPress 5.5.
Hmm.
I hope that WordPress itself keeps like the traction on doing the updates for block and site editor, and
Mm-hmm.
everyone in the WordPress ecosystem understands that now for the first time ever in WordPress, we have the chance to build a global standard, which could be
Mm.
the block editor. So
Mm.
everyone, every block, a third-party block extender, everyone in the WordPress ecosystem should leverage that potential because then we can define a standard when it comes to building websites. I mean, coders have standards when they write code. It can be different from company to company, okay,
True.
but they have standards. Designers normally don't have standards because there are the crazy people with the crazy stuff in mind.
Of
But with the
course.
block editor, with empowering designers, we can make a standard here. And
I
if
see.
everyone is on the same side, we can we can push WordPress forward.
I
Therefore,
agree.
yeah,
I agree. I'm with you.
I'm
I think whether it's 40% of the internet, it could become even 60% of the internet. You know,
exactly.
I think the way it's growing and the people are downloading WordPress, and now it's only improving. Like plugin
Exactly.
approvals used to take months. In Matt Mullenweg's speech, I think he
Yeah.
mentioned now it's taking like super duper quick. So everybody
Yeah.
is pretty happy about that. I
Yeah.
think so.
And the thing with AI basically is, so first of all, you can use AI at the current state which AI has
Hmm.
as like a supportive tool which allows you to build like projects much faster.
Faster,
But you
yes.
can always you can as well leverage AI, and I think this will hit in the next couple of months in the next year to give like more interaction on websites. So websites could, for example, improve themselves from a conversion rate thing in this case. So because you can learn from anonymous data, therefore AI is a super tool. Um, yeah, and
On this front, AI front, somebody once asked me like, aren't you afraid of AI? Now you can give commands and website will be ready in like 5 minutes. Your business is going to go bust,
yeah,
etc. I said, my queries is only in spike, or they're only spiking, and people want to move from other CMSs into WordPress. And
yeah,
at the end of the day, even though AI is there, it's supporting you, helping you build content
exactly.
faster. Like my team, we build a our business. We do volume of websites, like a lot of volume, and we used to
Yeah,
struggle with content. And what we do,
yeah,
my team says placeholder content, deliver to sites is becoming better and faster. And you need somebody to plug in the hosting, make sure only the necessary plugins are there in the
yeah,
ecosystem. You need all these people there. So yes,
exactly.
AI is going to help and improve things.
Help.
It's going to speed up things. I think we should all
Exactly.
evangelize that.
Exactly. We need to just have one thing in mind. We don't allow, or we don't should allow AI to make us lazy. We always
So
should look into what AI is providing us. Ever like with you get an answer from ChatGPT, you obviously have to look into that. You can use AI currently for certain small tasks, but
true.
you piece the tasks together to build something big. And actually, that's the thing I can see for WordPress in the future when AI is still advanced. At some point, you still will have this human interaction in one place. And WordPress is a content management system at the end of the day. And
Got it.
it's a perfect place to manage content. So you can use WordPress even as a middleware. From time to time in projects, I do this. So you have custom front end, you have several data sources, even AI, whatever, and everything ties together in WordPress. And in WordPress, that's my interface where I look to, okay, maybe I need to change this, change that, maybe upload an image, do something by yourself. And it's the middleware at
That's
the end
true.
of the day.
That's We're coming up with time. So final questions. Okay, this is again this one I always ask everybody also. $100 million in your bank tomorrow, no questions asked. What's the first thing you could do? Personal, retire, take family vacation, whatever. $100 million in your bank.
$100 million. First thing,
No questions asked.
no questions asked. Actually, what I would do is, sounds a bit crazy.
I like crazy.
Yeah. You know that I'm currently renovating a house
Yes, yes, I do. I know.
with a
You
big
mentioned.
property. I
Yes.
will build some more houses for friends and people, which we're working together to like do some kind of vacation place at my place at home because then I can even work together on Saturday and Sunday with them.
Ah, I like that. I, by the way, am of the same opinion. Something like that. Get a big farm, lots of
Yeah,
cows, so that you
yeah,
have this, scenery and all of that, and we have big, big, big houses all there, and have friends and colleagues all there, all together. Something like that. I'm of a similar opinion because I'm a happy compulsive workaholic. I know you are also. We are born to be entrepreneurs, so I think that's pretty cool, right?
yeah. Sorry, now
Anyways,
the printer has started. Sorry for
no
that.
worries. Thank you. Thank you for being on my show. And
Yeah.
where can our listeners find you online? They can contact you over email. They can find you on the website,
Yeah.
LinkedIn.
Basically, when they go on our website, I mean, I think you need to just click two pages and there's somewhere my face pops off.
Okay.
And they can find me on LinkedIn as well. They can pop me a mail. They can look in Slack. Basically, yeah, they can reach me with like in 10 to 15 different channels.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you so much. As you say in German, Dankeschön. Thank you so much.
Sure. Thank you so much for having me.
Catch up soon, Thomas. Thank you.